Hello everyone, I'm Dave DeMillo, Principal Consultant at SafeNet, and it's my job to help businesses like yours understand the ins and outs of software licensing and entitlement management, and to help those companies build successful licensing strategies. I've worked for 3 major software vendors over the past couple of decades where I was the licensing business owner. I've seen and felt the licensing and back office pains firsthand, and I've got a pretty good idea for what works well and for things that you might want to avoid. So today we're going to talk about a subject that we at SafeNet are very passionate about, and that's entitlement management and license management in the back office. During this presentation, I'm going to show you how one company facing those challenges rose to the occasion. So let's start with a few qualifying questions. Do you currently use license keys or some sort of license enforcement in your products to protect your revenue? If so, do you know what your license management system, and I mean the entire system, really costs you? And then finally, can you relate to any of these people? Are you a C-level executive who says, our company believes protecting our revenue with license keys is a critical element to achieving our revenue targets, but I'd like to reduce operating costs? I wish I had $1 for every head of IT who said to me personally things like, our business has multiple back office license management systems, my teams can keep the systems running, but licensing is not our core competency, we really don't understand licensing in and out, and we just don't have the skills to overhaul what we have to make it better. I really would like a single corporate standard. Are you the head of a sales organization who just wants things to run smoother? I've personally had sales VP say to me, look, I realize our license keys help my sales reps make their numbers each quarter. I get that. But our processes for delivering the keys is really clunky, it's really slow. It results in customers calling my sales guys looking for help just to get the software working. And I can't afford to have sales taking these types of non-revenue generating calls when they really should be out there selling. There's really got to be a better way. Or do you run a support organization who fields license management calls from your customers and also feels the company has too many dedicated headcount supporting those customers and would like to see more automation, more self-help to reduce overhead costs and increase customer satisfaction at the same time? Or finally, do you manage your company's operations team who feels they need to jump through hoops every time the company releases a new product because you have multiple licensing systems or a single system that's not well integrated into your ERP or CRM? These folks would generally like one way to do their job and to get it done. So what exactly do these executives have in common? Well, it's very normal in that they all agree their back office licensing systems are pretty messy. And I think messy is the right word. But the rub here is that none of them really want to sign up to fix it. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't want it fixed, of course. They just don't think it's in their charter to take on that project. It's just that most executives, in my experience, think this area can be complex and would love some help in making it cleaner, easier, and better. Let's look at how one company dealt with this exact problem. And what you're about to see are real numbers from a real enterprise level software vendor. Okay, the original state was one in which the company was delivering about 120 software products and seeing revenues in the $500 million range. Due to acquisitions and organic growth, the company had 3 separate licensing technologies and 3 separate ways for their customers to get those keys. So one of the frustrations for customers was that they would often buy a software bundle that included products that used each of those 3 different forms of electronic licensing. The result is that the customer bought one thing, but they were sent in 3 different directions to actually get the product working. Far from ideal. And on the operational side, the company generated half of the license keys manually. Let me say that again. half of the license keys they generated for a $500 million company were done manually. And because of the volume, the company employed 13 licensing support people worldwide doing nothing but generating license keys. 13. That translates to $1.3 million a year in license key generation headcount. So all told, those manual generation processes were expensive, they're arcane, and they're slow. And the position of the executive team at this company was very much like I described a few minutes ago. They knew it was not ideal. They wanted to find a better way. So the company made a moderate investment in a single, scalable back office licensing system that made the license key generation 100% customer facing. So the great upside on the usability side for that model was one in which the customers had one place to go to get their license keys or do their activations, regardless of the product they bought, regardless of the licensing technology within those products under the covers. One place to go. The sales teams also had much more control and flexibility with their trial license keys or evaluations, and the operations team had one system to maintain. One. But on the commercial side, by year 2, the company was able to reduce their headcount, their licensing support headcount, by $500,000 per year. And all things being equal, the company delivered a better user experience for a lot less than they had been paying previously. Win-win. Now, all that's great, but let's look what happened in the following 2 years. The company acquired 4 smaller companies in the following 2 years. Each of those companies had their own licensing technology and a combined 14 people manually delivering license keys. So more manual license generation, more licensing technologies, more processes. So as you saw previously, CIOs don't exactly get too excited about acquiring new homegrown business systems. So the company had to figure out what to do with all these, 4 more licensing technologies and back office processes. So the question really became, do we really need to add 4 more systems and 14 more people? Well, in short, the answer was no, because they had invested in a single, scalable licensing solution a couple years before that. The company was able to move all 4 license managers to their now corporate standard and did not need to add a single incremental headcount for manual license key generation. It was all customer facing and it was all automated. Looking at this case in terms of if the company had done nothing a few years prior, they were potentially looking at 7 licensing technologies and 7 unique customer experiences, considering those acquisitions, right? Using upwards of 27 people to generate those license keys. 27. Now, that's a run rate of $3.1 million per year just in support headcount alone, which is crazy. But in actuality, because they had gone to that scalable platform, that system got them to 1 customer experience at 1/3 of the operating staff compared to what they were looking at potentially. So going back to our team of executives, what do these folks really need in order to achieve the same result as we saw in the case study? Well, the answer is a robust, scalable, centralized license management and entitlement system. So let's take a look at what that actually means. A centralized entitlement and licensing platform is one where your IT team has a single system to manage, and that system can support multiple licensing technologies if needed. It also means your operations team has one place to go to define license models, to define license definitions, to associate those license definitions to part numbers and maintain that part number catalog. And maybe most importantly, it means your customers have one place to go and one process for generating their keys or activating the product. It also means they have one place to go to manage those activation and license keys after the fact. It also means your customer support reps have a single tool for looking up customer entitlements and helping those customers through their license key procurement process if needed. One place. It means you're able to offer your sales teams a view into the entitlement database that would allow them to much better understand what their customers are entitled to, the customer's purchase history, and even what those customers have activated for software. And finally, it means your product managers have an easy way of collecting sales and licensing reports to help them make meaningful decisions looking forward. Now, if you buy into this method of thinking, I encourage you to check out Sentinel EMS, SafeNet's flagship back-office licensing solution, which is precisely the type of tool that we've been talking about here. EMS allows you to define your license models and business rules, manage your entitlements, control your license key generation, run robust reports, and it'll scale to meet your future needs like new ways of selling or absorbing acquisitions, as we saw in the case study. It does exactly that. So let's take a step closer to EMS by looking at one way to architect your order workflow. It's not the only way, but we're going to look at one way of doing it. On the left, we have a graphic that represents your company, and of course we see your users on the right. An order is placed into your ERP, which can automatically flow into the EMS system. Now, EMS can be hosted by you or by SafeNet. Then EMS can instantaneously notify your customer of the order and give the customer a means of activating the license, and there's multiple ways of doing it. But in this case, we're going to have the customer connect to EMS using EMS's web interface or through an application that they run on their desktop, and that application can talk to EMS through EMS's web service. EMS will validate the customer's entitlement, generate the license key, or activate the license with no support person involved. Now, because EMS is role-based, your customer support teams, your sales teams, your product managers all can have a view into EMS with varying levels of permissions and capabilities that you define. EMS has a partner portal that gives you flexibility in the channel, and EMS offers easy but controlled ways for your internal teams like development and your QA teams to get their license keys. And finally, EMS can integrate back into your CRM system if you so desire. Centralized license and entitlement management has worked for other companies, and it can work for you. If you're interested in learning more about EMS, please visit us at safenet-inc.com. You can also feel free to reach out to me directly at professionalservices@safenet-inc.com, or keep in tune with the latest in software licensing by following our Licensing Live blog or catching us on Twitter. On behalf of all of us here at SafeNet, I thank you for listening.